Monica Harris had always known how to carry herself in public. Growing up in a neighborhood that had its share of dangers, she learned early on that walking with confidence was often the first step to avoiding trouble. But tonight felt different. The streets were unusually quiet, almost eerily still. Street lights flickered in patches along the sidewalk, casting long shadows that danced with the breeze. Monica tightened her jacket against the cool night air and kept her pace steady, her eyes scanning the surroundings out of habit, though she appeared calm to anyone passing by. She had just finished her late shift at a nearby diner, where she worked to support herself while attending college. The long hours and demanding job were exhausting, but Monica found satisfaction in knowing she could handle whatever life threw at her. She had a reputation among her friends as someone strong, determined, and unshakable, though very few knew the full extent of her abilities. Monica had spent the last several years training with the Navy SEALs, mastering skills that most people only saw in movies. Tonight, however, she wanted nothing more than a peaceful walk home. As she moved down the quiet street, she noticed the familiar hum of tires on asphalt in the distance. A group of young men lingered near the corner, laughing and shouting at each other. At first, she didn't think much of it. The neighborhood had its share of rowdy teens, and their presence wasn't unusual. But something about the way they stopped talking and turned to look at her made her stomach tighten. Their eyes followed her every step, and the laughter faded into an unsettling silence. Monica's instincts, honed through years of training and real-world experience, immediately went on high alert. She knew the feeling well. A dangerous situation doesn't always announce itself with threats. Sometimes it starts with something as simple as a look, a lingering stare, or a shift in energy. She walked with her head held high, masking the cautious calculations running through her mind. The group of young men began to move toward her. Their steps were deliberate, closing the distance as if the streets belonged to them. Monica noticed small details that most people would miss: the way their hands twitched near their pockets, the subtle nods they gave each other, and the sharpness in their eyes. It was clear they had singled her out. Her heart rate increased slightly, not from fear, but from the mental preparation she always relied on in moments of potential conflict. She scanned the street behind her, noting nearby exits and potential obstacles. Every detail mattered. "Hey! Where you going, girl?" one of them shouted, his voice rough and full of bravado. Monica kept walking, ignoring him. She had learned that showing fear or hesitation often escalated situations rather than defusing them. Her calmness was a shield, even when the tension around her grew. The men laughed, a hollow, menacing sound that echoed off the brick walls of the nearby buildings. They began closing in, surrounding her on both sides of the street. Monica knew that now the danger was real. She felt no panic, only a clear, precise focus on what she would do if things went further. She didn't look small or weak, but her military experience taught her that appearances often fooled people. She allowed herself to appear unbothered, but inside, every muscle in her body was ready to respond instantly. "Where do you think you're going, huh?" another voice demanded, sharper this time. The words carried an edge that Monica recognized immediately as a challenge. She understood that these young men were testing her, seeing if she would flinch, retreat, or react in a way that gave them control. She slowed her pace slightly, keeping her back straight and her gaze forward, refusing to meet their eyes directly. The tactic was subtle but effective, showing calm dominance without aggression. Despite the danger, Monica's mind was clear. She began analyzing the situation, calculating possible actions. There were 5 of them, slightly taller than her, but she was stronger and faster than she looked. She noted their positions and movements, predicting how they might attempt to block her path. Every detail counted: foot placement, hand movements, even the tone of their voices. Her Navy SEAL training had ingrained these assessments into her instincts, allowing her to stay one step ahead without needing to think consciously about every move. The group began circling her slowly, laughter mixed with threats now filling the air. Monica could feel the tension rising, both in the atmosphere and in her own body. She allowed a small, almost imperceptible smile to touch her lips, not of amusement, but as a psychological tactic. Confidence, even in silence, can be intimidating. She felt their uncertainty start to show, a tiny crack in their facade as they realized she wasn't reacting as expected. "Kman, don't just stand there. Talk to us," one of the men said, stepping closer. The others mirrored his movement, closing the space around her. Monica kept her movements minimal but deliberate, shifting slightly to keep herself in a position where escape or defense would be possible if necessary. Her breathing remained controlled, slow, and steady, another habit from her training, knowing that maintaining composure under stress was half the battle. A passerby from the nearby apartment building briefly appeared at a doorway, glancing at the group. Monica sensed the hesitation in them. Most people would instinctively call for help, but fear often paralyzes action in such situations. She didn't blame them, she knew how dangerous it could be. Still, she calculated her actions as if she were entirely alone. The leader of the group, a young man wearing a dark hoodie, stepped directly in front of her. "You think you can just walk by us?" he sneered. His voice carried both challenge and arrogance. Monica nodded slightly, her expression neutral. She didn't answer. Words often fuel aggression, silence can be more disarming than confrontation. For a moment, the group hesitated, unsure how to proceed. Monica had bought herself a small window of time, and she was aware of it. She subtly adjusted her position, keeping her body light on her feet, ready to move in any direction. In her mind, she was already visualizing the exit routes, how she could protect herself if the confrontation escalated, and how to neutralize the threat efficiently if needed. The tension in the street grew palpable. Monica's calmness contrasted sharply with the growing aggression of the young men. She noticed small signs of unease, slight fidgeting, nervous glances at one another, the tightening of jaws. Her presence alone, her quiet confidence, was starting to disturb them. They had assumed she would react like most people, fearful, defensive, or submissive, but she remained poised. Then, as if sensing an opportunity, one of the men reached out, trying to grab her arm. Monica shifted almost imperceptibly, avoiding contact, her body moving with practiced precision. The man stumbled slightly, surprised at her agility. The others paused, uncertain how to respond. Monica maintained her outward calm, but inside, she was fully ready to defend herself if necessary. For a few tense seconds, the street seemed to freeze in time. Monica's mind raced through possibilities, each one grounded in training and experience. She knew that these young men were emboldened by ignorance, unaware of the skills she possessed. She could sense that if they escalated, the situation could become dangerous, but she also knew she could handle it. Her focus, clarity, and discipline gave her an advantage they could not see. As the group exchanged hurried whispers among themselves, Monica continued walking slowly, maintaining her composure. Every step was deliberate, every movement calculated to maintain control. She was outwardly calm, but her body was ready for immediate action. This balance of confidence, awareness, and readiness was something she had learned over years of rigorous training, a combination of mental fortitude and physical skill. By the time Monica reached the corner leading to a slightly busier street, the tension had begun to shift. The young men, realizing that she was not intimidated and that she moved with a quiet authority, hesitated. Their laughter had faded into awkward shuffling. Monica could feel their uncertainty, the first cracks in their facade of dominance. She turned the corner, still calm, her mind analyzing every movement, every potential threat. The streets were quiet again, but Monica knew this encounter was only the beginning. Her instincts told her that danger might follow, but she was ready. She had survived far more challenging situations, both in her training and in real-life operations. This moment was no different, it was simply another challenge to face with poise and strength. As Monica continued toward her apartment, she reflected on the strange mix of fear and courage that humans experience in moments of danger. She knew that courage wasn't the absence of fear, it was the ability to act despite it. Tonight, she had demonstrated that principle silently, through her calm demeanor and measured actions. And though the gang had underestimated her, she knew that they would not forget the presence of a woman who appeared ordinary but carried the strength and discipline of a Navy SEAL. The gang didn't give up easily. Monica had barely taken a few steps away from the corner when she felt the energy behind her shift again. The group had regained some confidence and were closing in, thinking perhaps their target had been intimidated momentarily. But Monica's instincts were sharper than theirs. She could sense the subtle movements, the way their eyes darted, the way their hands flexed near their pockets. Every detail told a story of aggression, and she read it like an open book. Her mind worked quickly, mapping out options even as she walked. She noticed a narrow alley to her left and a row of parked cars along the street. Both offered potential escape routes, but she didn't plan to run, not yet. She had learned that when confronted, staying calm and maintaining control of the situation was more effective than panicking or fleeing. Her training had drilled into her the idea that awareness and strategy could overcome brute force every time. "Hey! Where do you think you're going?" one of the gang members shouted again, this time with a louder, more aggressive tone. Monica's eyes flicked briefly toward him. He seemed eager to provoke a reaction. The others were slightly behind, circling, trying to intimidate her. She maintained her pace, her voice calm and even as she said, "Just walking home. Nothing to see here." Her words barely registered with them. They were too focused on appearances, on the challenge of asserting control over someone they assumed was weaker. But Monica knew appearances could be deceiving. She had spent years mastering the art of reading body language, of noticing small tells that indicated intentions. She could predict their movements almost before they made them. One of the younger men, smaller than the others but quick, stepped closer, reaching toward her shoulder in an attempt to stop her. Monica's reflexes kicked in instinctively. She shifted slightly, avoiding contact, while keeping her balance and posture natural. Her movements were subtle but precise, and the man's hand barely grazed her jacket before he stumbled slightly forward, surprised by her speed and composure. The rest of the group paused, confused. This was not the reaction they expected. Most people in this neighborhood, they assumed, would have backed away, shouted, or even run. But Monica's calmness disrupted their assumptions. She wasn't aggressive, but she wasn't scared either, and that unshakable demeanor made them hesitate. "Come on. You think you're better than us," another man yelled, frustration clear in his voice. He stepped in front of her, blocking the sidewalk with a broad stance. Monica's heart rate remained steady, her mind analyzing every possible angle. She didn't respond verbally. Words could escalate conflict. She relied on her presence, posture, and movements to communicate strength. The group's leader tried to assert dominance, taking a few steps closer, but Monica's eyes didn't waver. She kept her gaze calm, observing, noting how each of them moved, what weaknesses might exist. Her training taught her to read people quickly. One of the men shifted his weight awkwardly, clearly less confident than the others. Another kept glancing at his friends, seeking reassurance. These small details told Monica everything she needed to know about how to maintain control of the encounter. Despite her calm, Monica felt the adrenaline begin to rise naturally. Adrenaline didn't mean fear for her, it meant readiness. Every sense was heightened, every instinct sharpened. She could feel the tension in the air, a mixture of aggression from the gang and focus from herself. Her body remained relaxed but prepared, muscles ready to react instantly if necessary. Suddenly, one of the gang members made a move to grab her bag. Monica reacted immediately, shifting her body and stepping slightly to the side, so smoothly it almost looked like a natural adjustment rather than a defensive action. The man stumbled again, losing his balance slightly, and the others paused, unsure how to respond. Monica's small, controlled movements had already disrupted their coordination. The leader stepped forward again, more aggressively this time, trying to intimidate her with words and gestures. But Monica had trained for situations like this. She knew that intimidation often relied on seeing fear in the other person's eyes. She did not give them that satisfaction. Her calmness was a tool, one she used deliberately to unnerve them. The gang members exchanged glances, sensing that she was not just another ordinary person. Monica noticed something else: the street was quiet, almost too quiet. Usually, these streets had occasional passers-by or distant car noises. Tonight, the quiet made the group more reckless. They assumed no one was watching. But Monica had trained to remain aware of her environment at all times. She scanned the surroundings, noting the nearest exits, potential obstacles, and any bystanders who might intervene if necessary. She moved strategically, each step calculated to keep her safe and maintain control. The group began to spread out slightly, trying to encircle her more effectively. Monica adjusted her position, moving closer to the row of parked cars. Her movements were subtle, but each one allowed her more options for escape or defense if the situation escalated. She knew that her presence alone could alter the dynamics. Her confidence, her calmness, her awareness, these were all advantages the gang did not anticipate. One of the men, frustrated, shouted insults, trying to provoke a reaction. Monica ignored him. She knew that engaging verbally would only escalate tension. Instead, she let her posture and composure speak for her. The man's movements became more reckless, and the others started to mirror his behavior, showing cracks in their coordination and confidence. The gang leader, sensing that the situation was not going as planned, attempted to regain control by stepping closer, towering over Monica in an effort to intimidate her physically. Monica held her ground, maintaining her calm, steady breathing and her eyes locked forward. She didn't flinch or retreat. The leader's aggression met a wall of unwavering confidence, and the shift in power was almost imperceptible but real. In that moment, Monica made a mental note of the environment. The parked cars could be obstacles or shields, the alley could provide a quick escape route, and the few dimly lit corners offered spaces to maneuver if she needed them. She assessed her options while continuing to move forward, never giving the impression of panic. Every detail was part of a larger strategy she had practiced countless times. The smaller man tried again, reaching toward her shoulder. Monica shifted again, moving with precision and grace. He lost his balance, staggering slightly. The rest of the gang hesitated, unsure how to proceed. Monica continued walking, maintaining control without appearing aggressive. Her confidence was disarming, and the subtle disruption of their rhythm made them increasingly uncertain. By now, the gang was beginning to realize that Monica was not what they had expected. Their attempts at intimidation were failing, and confusion began to creep into their movements. Monica remained aware of every detail, keeping her calm demeanor intact while subtly guiding the encounter toward an outcome where she could remain safe. "Let's just go," one of them muttered under his breath, frustration clear in his voice. The others glanced at him, uncertainty in their eyes. Monica noticed their hesitation, her advantage growing with each passing second. She continued walking, steady, composed, and fully aware of every potential threat. The moment stretched on, tense but controlled. Monica's presence and strategic movements had turned the situation around. The gang, initially confident, now hesitated, unsure of how to act against someone who exuded calm authority. Monica's mental focus remained sharp, her senses attuned to every motion, every change in energy. Finally, the group took a step back, exchanging uncertain glances. Monica continued moving forward, each step deliberate, keeping herself ready for any sudden change. She knew the danger wasn't fully gone, but her calm, strategic approach had disrupted their initial aggression. She had turned the tables without needing to escalate the confrontation. By the time Monica reached the intersection leading to a busier street, the gang had fallen behind slightly. Their confidence had diminished, and Monica's presence had shifted the dynamic completely. She didn't stop or celebrate, she kept moving, aware that safety required continuous vigilance. As she walked toward the relative safety of the lit street, Monica reflected on the encounter. The danger had been real, but her training, calmness, and awareness had allowed her to navigate it successfully. She knew that courage was not the absence of fear, but the ability to remain composed and strategic in its presence. Tonight, she had embodied that principle, using her experience and instincts to protect herself without escalating the situation unnecessarily. By the time Monica reached the corner leading to her apartment building, she could see lights in the windows and the faint sound of distant traffic. The quiet tension of the encounter had faded, replaced by the normal rhythm of the neighborhood. Monica knew that she had handled a dangerous situation effectively, using awareness, composure, and strategy rather than force. She also knew that this experience was a reminder of the importance of readiness, vigilance, and confidence in everyday life. Monica felt the tension shift as the street opened up ahead. The gang had slowed, uncertain how to proceed, and she could feel the moment of decision hanging in the air. She wasn't afraid. Her calmness was a shield, and her awareness was sharper than ever. She knew that situations like these could escalate in an instant if she made a wrong move, so every step, every glance, every subtle shift in posture was deliberate. Her eyes scanned the surroundings carefully. On the left, a small alleyway offered a potential escape route, narrow but long enough to give her an advantage if needed. On the right, a row of parked cars lined the street, providing both cover and obstacles for anyone attempting to chase her. Monica didn't panic, instead, she treated the environment like a chessboard, calculating possible moves and anticipating their reactions. She had learned through training and real-world experience that preparation and strategy often mattered more than raw strength. The gang, sensing her composure, exchanged nervous glances. Their earlier confidence had begun to fade, replaced by uncertainty. One of them took a step forward, trying again to assert control, but his hesitation betrayed him. Monica noticed it immediately. She knew that in moments of intimidation, the slightest sign of doubt could shift power. She continued walking steadily, making herself appear calm but ready, a difficult combination for them to read. Suddenly, one of the younger men, clearly frustrated, lunged forward, trying to grab her arm. Monica reacted instinctively. She shifted her body, moving with precision and speed that looked almost effortless. The man stumbled, surprised by her agility, and the others froze for a moment. Monica's subtle movement had disrupted their coordination, and she sensed their frustration rising. Her calm presence, combined with her strategic actions, had unsettled them more than she could have imagined. "Stop messing around," the gang leader shouted, his voice sharp, but there was a hint of uncertainty now. Monica didn't respond verbally. She knew that words often fueled aggression. Instead, she used her presence, her posture, and her controlled movements to maintain dominance. The gang's energy was shifting, what had begun as bold intimidation was now wavering. Monica continued walking slowly, her steps deliberate. She kept her shoulders back, her head high, and her eyes forward, showing no signs of fear. Her mind worked rapidly, anticipating their next moves. One of the men shifted his weight, preparing to lunge again, while another whispered something to the leader. Monica observed every detail, noting their positions, their balance, and even the tension in their hands. These were small things, but they mattered. Her training had taught her to notice details most people missed, and tonight, it was keeping her safe. The group tried to corner her, moving on both sides to block her path. Monica adjusted her position, moving closer to the parked cars. Her movement was subtle but purposeful, giving her options to maneuver. The gang's coordination faltered, they were unsure how to proceed against someone who didn't react predictably. Monica remained calm, her breathing steady, every muscle in her body relaxed yet ready. As they closed in slightly, one of the men reached for her backpack. Monica shifted her weight smoothly, keeping her balance and letting him miss. He stumbled again, losing confidence, while the others hesitated. Monica noticed that their movements had become less coordinated, more reactive than planned. Her presence, her composure, and her calculated adjustments had created an advantage she could use if the situation escalated further. The leader, growing frustrated, stepped directly in front of her, trying to block her path. Monica paused for a moment, assessing the space around her. She noticed the slight gaps between the men, the potential routes along the parked cars, and the alley to the left. Everything was a choice. She didn't panic, she was in control. Her eyes scanned for weak points, subtle mistakes, and opportunities to protect herself without aggression. One of the younger men attempted to move around her, reaching out as if to intimidate her further. Monica stepped slightly aside, maintaining her balance, and allowed him to stumble past without striking him. Her movements were precise, almost like a dance, designed to create space and maintain control. The gang members were visibly frustrated, their confidence waning. Monica's calm dominance had shifted the power dynamic completely. "Why won't you just answer us?" the leader barked. His voice was sharp, but now tinged with uncertainty. Monica continued walking, her pace steady, refusing to engage in argument or confrontation. She knew that maintaining calm and composure would make them doubt themselves. Their aggression had begun to lose its effectiveness, and she felt their hesitation grow with every passing second. As Monica moved closer to the busier street, the energy of the encounter began to change. The gang members, who had initially assumed control, were now reacting to her. They hesitated, their confidence broken, unsure of how to assert dominance. Monica could feel the shift, her calm composure and strategic movements had created an opening. She remained aware of every detail: the distance between them, their body language, and the space around her. Suddenly, the leader lunged slightly forward, trying one last time to intimidate her. Monica stepped smoothly to the side, maintaining balance and control. The man stumbled again, visibly shaken by her precision and calmness. The other gang members exchanged nervous glances, realizing that their plan was failing. Monica kept walking, her focus on reaching a safer location while subtly managing the situation. She passed a parked car and used it as a slight shield, keeping her body angled to monitor the group without giving them an advantage. Her movements were fluid and controlled, a combination of awareness and instinct. The gang members tried to adjust, but their hesitation made them less coordinated. Monica's calm, confident presence had disrupted their attempts at intimidation. The alley to her left became a point of strategic advantage. If she needed to, she could use it to create more distance or find a position that gave her greater control over the environment. Monica calculated the space carefully, her mind racing through possibilities while her body moved naturally. She didn't panic or rush. Every step was deliberate, designed to maintain control and protect herself. One of the men tried to shout over her shoulder, hoping to provoke a reaction. Monica ignored him, keeping her focus forward. She knew that reacting emotionally could escalate the situation, but her calm presence was having the opposite effect. It was making the gang question themselves. Their initial aggression was being replaced by confusion and hesitation. By now, Monica had almost reached the busier street, where the presence of lights, passing cars, and potential witnesses provided some safety. But she remained aware that the situation was not over. Her training taught her that threats could persist even when the environment seemed safer. She kept moving strategically, aware of every detail, maintaining her calm dominance. The leader stepped back slightly, frustration and uncertainty evident in his movements. The younger members were even more hesitant, unsure how to proceed. Monica continued forward, keeping her steps measured and her body relaxed. She knew that patience and composure were as important as speed or strength. By controlling her own movements, she controlled the dynamics of the encounter. Finally, as she approached the intersection leading to the lit street, the gang's energy began to break. Their confidence had diminished completely, replaced by doubt and uncertainty. Monica continued walking steadily, her calm presence and strategic movements having shifted the balance entirely. She had navigated the confrontation without aggression, relying on awareness, composure, and precision. For a moment, she allowed herself a brief reflection. The encounter had been tense, but she had remained in control the entire time. Her training, discipline, and calmness had prevented escalation while keeping her safe. She understood that courage was not about showing strength through confrontation but about maintaining composure, assessing the situation, and making smart choices. By the time Monica crossed onto the busier street, she could feel the tension of the encounter fading behind her. The gang remained on the quieter street, unsure of what to do next. Her calm, strategic approach had shifted the balance completely. She knew that while the danger had not disappeared entirely, she had successfully managed the situation using awareness, precision, and patience. Monica continued toward her apartment, every step deliberate and careful. Her mind reflected on the principles that had guided her: awareness, composure, and strategic thinking. She had navigated a potentially dangerous confrontation without violence, demonstrating that strength came not from aggression but from control and clarity. As the city lights grew brighter and the sounds of traffic and life filled the air, Monica felt a sense of calm accomplishment. She had faced a real threat, one fueled by ignorance and aggression, and had handled it with intelligence, discipline, and courage. This experience, like many before it, reinforced her understanding of readiness, resilience, and the power of calm presence. Monica arrived at her apartment building, glancing back once to see the gang lingering on the quieter street. She didn't feel fear or anger, only confidence in her ability to navigate challenges. Her experience, training, and calm composure had carried her through, and she knew that she had turned a dangerous situation into a moment of control and empowerment. Monica finally reached the brightly lit street, the hum of cars and distant chatter of people filling the air. The quiet tension of the previous encounter still lingered in her mind, but she kept her breathing calm, her movements deliberate. She had successfully navigated the confrontation, but she knew that being cautious even after the threat had passed was essential. Situations like these often left ripples, and awareness needed to stay sharp until full safety was reached. She walked at a steady pace toward her apartment building, keeping her eyes alert. Every shadow, every flicker of movement, was carefully observed, not out of fear, but from habit and training. Monica had learned that danger often lurked in the most unexpected places, and being vigilant was the best way to prevent it. She approached the entrance of her building, taking note of the lobby's layout, the security camera above the door, and the neighbors who sometimes lingered in the corridor. Her mind catalogued every detail, preparing for the final steps of her journey home. As she swiped her keycard and stepped inside, Monica allowed herself a brief moment of relief. The doors clicked shut behind her, and the hum of the building's elevator filled the small space. She pressed the button for her floor, feeling the subtle vibration under her feet, a reminder of the physical world returning to normal after the tension outside. She glanced around the lobby and saw a few residents chatting quietly. Their faces were calm, unaware of the storm that had just occurred outside. Monica offered a small nod and a smile, maintaining her composed demeanor, not revealing the earlier encounter. Once in her apartment, Monica set her bag down and leaned against the door for a moment, exhaling slowly. The adrenaline from the confrontation had begun to ebb, leaving a clear space for reflection. She thought about what had just happened, analyzing every step, every movement, every decision she had made. Her military training had prepared her for high-stress situations, but real-life encounters always carried a unique intensity. She knew she had handled it well, but she also understood the importance of reviewing actions afterward. Reflection was part of staying sharp. Monica poured herself a glass of water and took a seat near her window, looking out at the city lights. The streets she had just walked were now calm, almost serene in contrast to the tension a short while ago. Her mind replayed the events, the gang approaching, their attempts to intimidate her, and the way she had maintained control. She realized how much her composure had influenced the outcome. The aggressors had underestimated her, and her calmness, paired with awareness and careful movement, had shifted the balance entirely. After a few moments, Monica decided to document the incident. She opened her laptop and began writing a detailed account of the confrontation. She described the street, the gang, their behavior, and her own actions. Writing helped her organize her thoughts, process the tension, and ensure she remembered every important detail. Monica understood that clear documentation could be valuable later, whether for reporting to authorities or for her own analysis. She took care to write clearly, noting her observations of the gang's movements, the environment, and the subtle changes in their demeanor that had allowed her to navigate the encounter safely. Once her notes were complete, Monica contacted the local authorities. She reported the incident, providing as much detail as possible without exaggeration. She described the gang's actions, the racial slurs they had used, and the way they had attempted to intimidate her. She remained calm and factual, knowing that clear communication would help the authorities understand the situation accurately. Monica also mentioned the exact location and the approximate number of individuals involved, as well as the direction they had fled. Her precise observations ensured that the report was thorough and actionable. After the call, Monica reflected on how important it was to remain composed in these moments. She thought about how easily fear or anger could have escalated the situation. Her calmness had prevented unnecessary conflict, and her awareness had allowed her to maintain control. She understood that true courage was not about fighting aggressively but about staying clear-headed and using one's skills strategically. The lesson was reinforced in her mind: composure, awareness, and strategy were far more powerful than aggression. Monica's phone buzzed with a message from a friend checking if she was okay. She smiled faintly, appreciating the concern. She quickly typed back a response, assuring them that she was safe. It was comforting to know that people cared, but Monica also realized the importance of self-reliance. She had handled the confrontation largely on her own, relying on her own skills and judgment. Yet, she knew that community support was invaluable in maintaining a sense of safety and connection. Later, Monica decided to take a short walk around the building's perimeter, wanting to reconnect with the environment she had just navigated. The streets were quieter now, the earlier tension faded, but Monica's awareness remained sharp. She moved deliberately, observing streetlights, nearby alleyways, and pedestrian movement. Even in familiar surroundings, she maintained vigilance. The walk was not driven by fear but by habit, a reinforcement of the lessons learned through training and experience. As she walked, Monica reflected on the broader implications of what had happened. Racial bias and aggression could manifest in unexpected ways, and encounters like this were unfortunately common in many communities. She considered how her experience could serve as an example, not as a justification for violence, but as a demonstration of the power of preparation, awareness, and self-discipline. Monica thought about sharing her story with others, hoping it could inspire awareness and encourage people to remain calm, alert, and strategic in difficult situations. Returning to her apartment, Monica settled into a quiet evening. She prepared a light dinner, moving through the familiar tasks with precision and focus. Her mind remained active, replaying the day's events, analyzing outcomes, and considering possible improvements. Monica's discipline extended beyond moments of confrontation; it shaped her entire approach to life. She understood that preparation, awareness, and calm decision-making were skills that applied in every situation, from daily routines to moments of unexpected danger. After dinner, Monica took a moment to meditate. She focused on her breathing, centering her mind, and releasing the lingering tension. Meditation helped her process the adrenaline and mental energy from the earlier encounter, bringing clarity and calm. She reflected on how her training had not only prepared her physically but also mentally, equipping her to handle stress, remain composed, and make sound decisions under pressure. Later in the evening, Monica began drafting a plan for her own safety moving forward. She considered changes she could make in her routines, areas to avoid late at night, and ways to enhance her situational awareness. This was not out of fear, but as a proactive approach to maintaining safety. Monica believed that true empowerment came from preparation and knowledge, not from relying solely on luck or chance. She noted the locations of well-lit streets, nearby public places, and safe routes in her neighborhood. As the night deepened, Monica reflected on the value of her experience. She realized that her calmness, discipline, and awareness had turned a potentially dangerous situation into a manageable one. She had acted with intelligence, not aggression, and had maintained control without escalating the conflict. This experience reinforced her belief that true strength came from mental clarity, strategic thinking, and self-discipline. Monica also thought about how her story might influence others. She considered sharing her experience in community programs or with friends and family, emphasizing the importance of awareness, composure, and preparation. She wanted people to understand that they could navigate difficult encounters safely by remaining calm, assessing the situation carefully, and using their skills strategically. Monica hoped that by sharing her experience, she could inspire confidence and resilience in others. Before going to bed, Monica reviewed her notes one final time. She made small annotations, clarifying details and adding observations she had remembered since writing earlier. This process helped solidify her understanding and reinforce the lessons learned. She knew that reflection was just as important as action. Learning from each experience ensured that she could handle future challenges even more effectively. Finally, Monica prepared for sleep. She felt a sense of calm satisfaction, knowing she had handled the day's events with intelligence, skill, and composure. She understood that life could be unpredictable, but preparation and awareness could turn uncertainty into manageable challenges. As she drifted into sleep, she reflected on the strength she had demonstrated, not just physically but mentally, and the power of remaining calm and strategic under pressure. Monica's story was not just about surviving a confrontation, it was about the power of discipline, awareness, and resilience. It was a reminder that courage and strength came from preparation, composure, and careful action. And as she slept, she carried with her the knowledge that she could face whatever challenges came next with clarity, confidence, and control. The next morning, Monica woke up with a sense of clarity and purpose. The tension of the previous night had faded, replaced by a reflective calm. She knew that the encounter with the gang had changed something, not in the city streets, not in the people who had been there, but in her own understanding of strength, awareness, and resilience. She moved through her morning routine with focus, each action deliberate, from making breakfast to preparing for her day. The ordinary activities of life provided a sense of normalcy, but her mind remained alert, considering the lessons she had learned. Monica decided that she would take action beyond her personal experience. She wanted her story to help others understand the power of awareness, composure, and preparedness. She began drafting a plan to share her experience in her community. Not as a tale of fear, but as an example of strategy, calmness, and intelligence. She believed that empowering others to be aware of their surroundings and to trust in their own capabilities could make a real difference in her neighborhood. She also contacted the local authorities again, following up on the report she had filed. She provided additional details, clarifying the behavior of the gang and the racial undertones of the confrontation. Her precise observations helped the police understand the incident more clearly. She remained factual, calm, and composed, demonstrating the same qualities that had kept her safe during the encounter. The officers listened attentively, acknowledging the thoroughness of her report. They assured her that patrols would increase in the area, and community resources would be directed toward addressing such incidents. Monica's decision to document and share her experience extended beyond authorities. She spoke with friends and neighbors, recounting the event in a way that emphasized awareness and strategy rather than fear. She wanted people to understand that courage and strength were not just about physical ability, but about composure, observation, and careful decision-making. Her words inspired a sense of empowerment among those who listened. Neighbors thanked her for sharing her experience, recognizing the lessons in preparation, mental clarity, and self-discipline. As the days passed, Monica's story began to resonate more broadly. She was invited to speak at a local community center, sharing her experience with young people and adults alike. Her approach was practical and grounded. She explained how to remain aware of surroundings, how to assess potential threats, and how composure could influence the outcome of tense situations. Monica emphasized that true empowerment came from preparation, knowledge, and confidence, not from aggression or confrontation. Her presence and calm authority left a strong impression. People began to view her not only as a survivor but also as a role model. Monica's message was simple but powerful: situations that seem frightening or dangerous can often be navigated safely if one remains calm, aware, and strategic. She provided practical advice, demonstrated situational awareness techniques, and encouraged others to trust their instincts while maintaining composure. In her personal life, Monica continued to integrate the lessons she had learned. Her daily routines included mindfulness practices, situational awareness exercises, and careful planning for her movements around the neighborhood. She remained vigilant without living in fear, understanding that preparedness was a mindset, not a reaction to danger. Each day, she reflected on the balance between caution and confidence, appreciating how her calmness had influenced the outcome of the confrontation. Monica also began mentoring younger women in her community. She focused on teaching confidence, situational awareness, and self-discipline. She encouraged them to trust their instincts, remain calm in tense situations, and use strategy over force whenever possible. Her mentorship emphasized the importance of mental strength, clear thinking, and preparation. Many of the women she worked with began to adopt these principles in their own lives, gaining a sense of confidence and empowerment that went beyond physical safety. At home, Monica continued to practice her own skills. She refined her physical training, mental focus, and strategic thinking. But she also valued balance, knowing that true strength included calmness, patience, and self-reflection. She maintained her routine, but she allowed herself moments of rest and enjoyment, appreciating the life she was building for herself. Her resilience was not just about surviving challenges, it was about thriving despite them. Monica's story also had an impact on her friends and colleagues. They admired her calmness and confidence, seeing her as a source of inspiration. Conversations about awareness, preparation, and composure began to emerge in her social circles. People asked her questions, seeking guidance on how to handle difficult encounters safely. Monica responded with patience and clarity, reinforcing the principles that had guided her throughout her life. In the neighborhood, awareness began to increase. Monica's story encouraged people to notice their surroundings more carefully, to trust their instincts, and to act calmly in tense situations. The community became more alert, not out of fear, but out of a sense of shared responsibility. Monica's experience served as a catalyst for positive change, showing that one individual's preparedness and composure could influence the behavior and confidence of many others. As time went on, Monica reflected on the deeper lessons of the incident. She understood that danger could appear unexpectedly, but it did not have to lead to harm if approached with awareness and calm. She realized that courage was not a loud or aggressive display, but the ability to remain composed, assess a situation carefully, and act strategically. Her experience had strengthened her confidence and reaffirmed her belief in the importance of mental clarity and disciplined thinking. Monica also considered the broader social impact. The encounter had been fueled in part by ignorance and bias, and she recognized the need for dialogue and education in her community. She worked with local organizations to promote awareness, empathy, and understanding, emphasizing that preparation and composure were essential for everyone, regardless of background or circumstance. Her goal was to turn a personal experience into a shared opportunity for growth and learning. One afternoon, as Monica walked through the neighborhood, she noticed subtle changes. People seemed more attentive, more aware, and more confident. Conversations about safety and awareness were becoming common. She felt a quiet sense of satisfaction, knowing that her actions and story had contributed to this shift. Monica understood that real change often began with one individual, and she had seen that principle in action. Monica's life continued with a renewed sense of purpose. She balanced her personal goals, her work, and her training with her efforts to support and mentor others. Her experience had taught her that strength was multifaceted. It included physical skill, mental clarity, emotional composure, and strategic thinking. By embracing all these aspects, she was able to navigate challenges and help others do the same. Even as she went about her daily life, Monica never forgot the encounter with the gang. It remained a vivid reminder of the importance of preparation, awareness, and calm. But instead of fear or anger, she felt gratitude for her training, her instincts, and her ability to handle the situation successfully. She also felt a sense of responsibility to share her lessons, helping others navigate life's unexpected challenges with confidence and composure. Monica's story eventually reached local media outlets, though she remained careful to focus on the lessons rather than the sensational aspects of the incident. Interviews and articles highlighted her calmness, strategic thinking, and emphasis on awareness. People admired her not only for surviving a dangerous situation, but for the way she had transformed it into a learning opportunity for others. Her example encouraged communities to value preparation, composure, and intelligent action over fear and aggression. As Monica looked back on the events, she realized how much personal growth had come from that night. She had faced a real threat, maintained control, and turned the encounter into an opportunity for reflection, empowerment, and teaching. Her experience demonstrated that calmness, awareness, and discipline could turn even a threatening situation into a moment of learning and resilience. In her quiet moments, Monica reflected on the meaning of courage. She understood that true courage was not about physical confrontation or showing dominance. It was about clarity of mind, control of emotions, and the ability to make smart, strategic decisions. She had embodied these principles, and in doing so, she had created a model for others to follow. Monica's life continued to grow in richness and purpose. She remained committed to her training, her personal development, and her community work. She carried with her the lessons of the night when she had been confronted by the gang, using them to guide her actions, decisions, and interactions. Her story was a testament to the power of awareness, composure, and preparation, and the difference that one confident, disciplined individual could make in the world around them. By the end of that year, Monica had not only strengthened her own skills and resilience but had inspired others to do the same. The community around her became more aware, more confident, and more connected. Her experience had been challenging, but it had also been transformative. Monica understood that life's unexpected moments could be opportunities for growth, teaching, and empowerment. And she carried that knowledge forward, ready to face whatever came next with calmness, clarity, and confidence.